Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to St James's Park ahead of tomorrow's match with Barcelona. If you have a question, please raise your hand and we'll get as many as we can in the next 15 minutes, and then you'll be joined by Lewis Hall.
Football's history. Is that a mental approach you want everybody associated, your players, your staff, all to have for them?
Yeah, it is. Recent history, I don't know. Someone could trip me up. Going way back, I'm sure they will. But I think recent history, for me it is, and I think, that's very much the mentality we need. I think rising to the occasion, embracing the size of the game, I think these are things that have helped us this season, and we're looking for the same again.
And do you enjoy that sort of underdog role, kind of punching above your weight, is where that's tended to bring out the best in you in this all year?
Well, I'm not playing, so... But yeah, I know what you mean. I think the underdog role, to a degree, in my time here, has helped us at times. When we've been in that position where we feel sort of the odds are stacked against us, and we're going to need to use every psychological tool that we can to help us in this game, because it's undeniable we're playing a very, very good team. An outstandingly well-coached team, I have to say as well, from having watched them thoroughly in both games, preparing for them as we have done. They're a top team.
Thank you. Keith, Tony?
An unusual situation that we're playing Barcelona for the second trick this season, although that game to us a couple of seasons ago, played so many games since then. What do you take from that first game that wasn't mental?
Yeah, quite a lot, Keith, I think when you go through that experience, as we've said lots of times before, when you're playing the very best teams, I think you take a little bit of that game with you going forward, because I think there's so much to take from that. I thought that they played well, we played well, especially for the first half of the game. I thought we were right in it, swung on sort of big moments in front of goal. They took theirs, we didn't take ours. But I think we can take a lot of confidence from our performance for the majority of the game, and obviously take little bits away from what we needed to improve. Obviously Marcus Rashford scored 2 great goals on the night for them, and we just switched off for a second and they punished us.
Positive result for you. Do you feel you need to take something there to try and do such a difficult place?
Well, I think they proved very recently against Atletico Madrid that probably the game's not going to be dead regardless of the outcome in this game. I think for us, we just have to focus on trying to win. I think you can't overthink it. Having watched both of those games, it was really intriguing. Obviously had a big deficit to try and claw back, and they nearly got there. It was 2 really good games against Atletico, and again, I think their recent record on the league, they've been very consistent. Their style of play is consistent, so I think we know what we're going to face.
Nisha Joshi?
And hi Eddie, Tino Livramento has been a big absence this season. He's getting back to fitness. Is he fit enough to be in contention to start?
He probably hasn't done enough training for me to feel 100% confident that he's in that best physical moment, especially for such a big game to start. But he's in our squad, and anyone who's in that position obviously is in contention to play. So it's a delicate balance with Tino at the moment. He trained again this morning, obviously trained again on Friday, and is in good spirits and is in a good place. He's a massive player for us. It's great to have him back. But obviously I've got to try and get the team selection right.
And how do you balance wanting to take an advantage of that second leg with staying in the tie in the 2-leg semi-final against Manchester City, conceding the second goal so late was a real killer? How to balance it?
Yeah, hopefully we can learn lessons from that tie. We would just want to win the game, and I think that's in our thoughts. But of course, there's another game to come, so you don't want to do anything foolish that can impact your chances of trying to get through. And ultimately, that's the aim, regardless of this game, the away game. Trying to get through is obviously the objective.
Thank you. Lee Ryder then, Craig Hall, please.
Eddie, going into this game, there's obviously good memories of the PSG game when you started so well in that game, getting encouraged tackles early on. Are you going to have to do something similar in this game to set the tone from the very start?
Yeah, a good start I think is really important. But as you saw against Manchester City at the weekend, it's not the be-all and end-all. Of course, you want to set the authority in the game. You want to show your opponent that you mean business, but we have to carry that through for the whole game. We have to be there at the end just as much as we are at the beginning. So I think we've had some great recent experiences to help us for the two-legged game. I think all our Champions League games have been a great dress rehearsal for this moment, and I think that's how we have to look at it. Now is the moment where we need to be at our very best.
At times against Man City, it was very difficult to actually get the ball off them. How do you stop them dictating Barca going into this one?
They've got a lot of similarities with Manchester City. As we found in the first game, that was one of the difficulties. Their midfield three were technically very good. They've got really good movements and rotations in their team, so stabilising off the ball, making sure we engage our press at the right times, and then making sure we keep the ball when we get it. These are all big things. We need to be a goal threat, and we need our attacking players to fire.
Thank you. Craig Hope?
I'm going to ask you a question about Barcelona 97, just quickly in a secondary. But first of all, that statement about this being the biggest game potential in the club's recent history, is part of that motivated by the legends, legacy? This literally is Barcelona in a knockout game, once in a lifetime stuff. The question came after an FA Cup game. The FA Cup comes around next year. Is it the one-off nature of this and the chance to write your name and the player's name in the club's history? Is that the allure and the romanticism which is sort of captured in?
Yeah, to a point, yes. I think that there's only 16 teams left, and we're one of them. So I think it's very much an opportunity to grab a moment that we may never get again. You don't know what life brings tomorrow, yet alone future seasons. We don't want to waste that opportunity. Don't want to kick ourselves and think what ifs. So I think this is a moment for us to try and grab. Since my time here, just over 4 years, we've worked to get to this point. So as long as we perform to our maximum, we'll have to accept the result. But we want to try and get as close as we can to our very best.
In Barcelona 97, you were a 19-year-old young professional at Bournemouth. It was live on ITV. Did you watch it? Can you remember where you were watching that result?
Yeah, I watched the game. I don't remember where I was. I assume I was at home, but memory is a bit hazy of that time of my life. I think I was very, very focused on my own playing career at the time and the early stages of that. But I think you couldn't not watch that moment. It was on terrestrial TV. It was one of those legendary games. And of course, going back to your earlier question, we want people in future years to be talking about this team. And of course, Tino Asprilla gets a hat-trick, mainly off Keith Gillespie's delivery on the right. And I'd want our players to be talked about in the same way 20, 30, 40 years later.
Thank you. Gentleman at the back? Yep.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi.
I don't know how many references you take on the Di Maria Hamburg. As the game progressed, Barcelona pushed you into a low block, a deeper closer. Looking back, you feel that was an unavoidable consequence of the quality, or is it something you want to resist more this time?
Yeah, I think it's an unavoidable, or on the night it was an unavoidable reaction to their quality. I thought their midfield three on the day did really, really well to try and control the game and to make the game as they wanted it to. And I thought they were the standout players that really helped swing that game in their direction. So of course for us we had our moments, as I say, especially in that first half, and opportunities to score that we didn't take, and ultimately you sort of look back at the end of the game and you think they're the key moments in the game, because if we went on top to score, I think that's the key thing. And even against Manchester City at the weekend, we got our noses in front, but we couldn't stabilise and push on. There's definitely parallels between that game and this game that we need to adjust and do better with.
Thank you. Gentleman just in front in the middle here? Yep. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to ask as well, the difference between the phase of classification and Lamine. So do you think how to defend against Lamine Yamal, or do you think he's one of the best players in the world? Thank you.
I didn't get all of that question, I'm afraid. I'll try and answer what I think you're... So tell me if it's wrong. Yeah, he's an outstanding player. We obviously didn't face him in the first game, so I think it's a great challenge for us to try and deal with his qualities. He's been in outstanding form. Watching the recent games, I've been hugely impressed by him. So I think in the wide areas off both sides, they've got huge threats. We're going to have to defend very, very well, and better than we did at the weekend in the wide areas. And then, of course, as I said earlier, we have to bring our threats as well, and we have to make sure that they're there in the game for us to win.
Okay, thank you. Martin Hardy.
The game against Barcelona in 1997 is regarded as one of the best atmospheres the stadium has ever had. Is your message to the supporters to recreate that tomorrow night?
In an ideal world, yes, but of course, there's a reason why it was the best atmosphere, or so-called best atmosphere that you say is because the team played so well. Scored 3 goals. They could have scored more as well. Some brilliant attacking from the team. And some late pressure from Barcelona, but that's why, because the team gave the crowd what it needed, and that's what we have to do tomorrow. I think the start of the game against Barcelona here was again red hot. The atmosphere was incredible. We just couldn't carry it through. We couldn't do our bit to sort of confirm that up there with the previous game. So I think it's all on us. I know the crowd will be there when needed to help us. They're doing okay. They're doing okay. I think. It's not been a perfect season for us. It's not been easy. But I think their attitude to it all has been really, really good. We're always trying to find new ways to improve and to evolve and to help the team. I think the players have taken that workload on, and the consistency of it really well. We're going to need a big, big physical effort tomorrow. It's another short turnaround after a really big game against Manchester City where we had a lot of running to do. So it wasn't, again, ideal preparation for this one, but no excuses. The players will be ready.
Thank you. Gary Stonehouse.
Hi, ready. Given every season since they've been in the club, broken new frontiers, you said this is the biggest game in recent history. Would it be i begynnelsen ikke beskrive en at beskrive på?
Yeah, possibly, but I'm not really. Well, I don't care about myself and my record or what people think. It's for the club, really. I want the club desperate for the club to break new ground and to keep going in this competition, having worked so hard to get here. So we're all thinking of the club. We're trying to support the players to give the best performance that we've given so far. And I think we're going to need to break new ground in terms of performance levels. So if there's a time for us to be at our absolute best, it's in these 2 games. Thank you.
Dominic.
About having a lot of players who were maxed out after the Man U game, Joe Lyd, Anthony Gold and Jacob Ramsey crested for Man City. Just how's...
Yeah, I think we came through the Manchester City game relatively okay. I think no fresh injuries. We've got a little bit of illness again in the camp, so it's been sort of hanging around in recent days. We'll have a player go down, but they're recovering quite quickly. So I anticipate, fingers crossed, we won't lose anybody, and we'll be as we were with Tino Livramento back in the squad.
Touch on it before, but Lamine Yamal involved tomorrow night. Lewis Howe also wasn't involved, or was on the bench, so looking earlier in the season. How exciting a battle is that shaping up to be between 2 the best players in their position?
Yeah, I think providing on team selection, I think that will be an interesting battle between two really good players, as you say. There's a lot of intriguing battles across the pitch when you look at the teams and you line them up. And certainly sort of player for player, when you go up against a respective player in that position, you've got to try and come out on top. And that's going to be my message to the group. We need to win our individual duels. We need to win the tussles in those big moments, because that could be a pivotal turn of the game. We're looking for one moment of magic from an attacking player, and of course we've got to concentrate better defensively.
Okay, we've got time for one more. Damien Spellman.
Eddie, just on Lewis, you were very patient in introducing him to the first team when he first came. How impressed have you been with his development since, and where is he on his journey?
I think he's done incredibly well. I think it was a steep sort of learning curve for him when he first came in, not just sort of on and off the pitch, but more in his personal life, having left his family home and all the challenges that go with that for someone being so young. I think with Lewis, he's one of those players that we forget how young he is at times. He's very quiet. He's sort of goes about his business in a very uncomplicated way. But in that first season, he really had to show his resilient side. He had to do a lot of individual work, group work, development work to become the player he is today. And I think there's still a lot more to come from him. I think he's definitely on the right track. He's come back from a serious injury and he's beginning to find his very, very best form again. I think he's such an exciting player, one that I think will continue to go from strength to strength, we hope.